So then maybe we can shift our focus a little bit to driving up the top line and talking about enrollment and enrollment outreach a little bit. Once again, I'd like to start with this theme of inspect or expect what you inspect. Some of my staff members consider me to be sort of a numbers wonk, a little bit crazy because I'm always tracking things over time. I want to encourage you to really pay attention to the activity that's taking place in your schools around the subject of enrollment. Are all of you familiar with the term admissions funnel? No? So there's an idea that says that there are a certain number of people who inquire about the school. And then there are more who come to visit the school, but a smaller number than those who inquired. And there are some who actually set up an interview rather than just attending a tour. And then there are some who fill out an application, and then a smaller number who come in for an interview with the teacher, and a smaller number who are accepted, and then an even smaller number who actually enroll. This is the enrollment funnel. Now, times have changed. It used to be that if you wanted any information about the school, you had to call, "Hi, interested in information about your school. Can you mail me a packet?" It's not true anymore. How do most people get their first basic information about your school? Okay. So if you've been tracking the numbers in your enrollment funnel over time, over the last 10 years, you have seen a dramatic reduction, in the number of calls to the enrollment office. You may be operating now at a third of the level that you were 10 or 12 years ago. Think back 10 or 12 years ago, we just didn't use the internet the way that we use it today, you know. Now it's like everybody comes home and the first thing you do, you're sitting in the living room with your laptop open, and every time a question comes up, the first thing we do is flip open the laptop and use it to get some basic information. That is the key approach that young parents use to answer almost any question today. So you will see that we have far fewer opportunities than we used to have to engage people in conversation. It underscores the critical importance of having a great website. Can't say that enough. Critically important right now. And we'll talk later about what makes a great website great. Okay? But I really want to encourage all of you to be tracking how many calls do you actually get for information, and to track them every month. And at the end of the year, produce a report that shows the number of calls that you got month by month by month. And when you get those calls, to ask them 2 questions. How did you hear about our school? And put a stroke tally in the appropriate column. And how many children do you have? This gives us the information we need about who's calling us in terms of, are our inquiries coming from families with 3 children, but we're only enrolling families with 1 child? Maybe then there's something that we need to address in terms of our sibling discount or the appearance of the generosity of our grant program that might be off-putting to people with larger families. But we need to know. Without the data, you can't ask the questions, you can't tell the story. Right? So it's important to ask those 2 questions. Track how many calls you get, ask them how they heard about the school, and ask them how many children they have. Even if they say thank you very much and I'm not interested at the end of the phone conversation, you still need that data. And then keep track of how many families come to your outreach events. Everybody here probably does a variety of outreach events. Do you all do walkthroughs? Mm-hmm. Yeah, walk through the grades is kind of a common event. Open houses. I've heard a number of schools that are having great success with open houses which are dual purpose. They're an event to which both current families and prospective families are invited. They happen not first thing in the school year, but they happen after there's been a couple of months of activity, so that we have visible progress reports, if you will, that can be shared with those people who are walking through our classrooms. So it's possible to see a Fair Isle sock being knitted and see it in progress. We have a main lesson block that's been completed. Yes?
I'm wondering what kind of activities would you be inviting the current families, like what would the current family activity be for that open house experience for prospective families?
So not only do they have an opportunity to see their child's work in progress, but they also have an opportunity to see the progression of Waldorf education. I remember attending one of those events myself as a young parent, and it was like second grade or whatever, and all right, we'd gone so far. But we still have these questions in second grade about, really, are they going to learn to read? Will they ever get into college? Those kinds of things. And of course I was excited to come in and do what all parents do, say, oh, Justin, beautiful work, and do that thing. But I took the opportunity to actually walk through the grades in order. And by the time I got to the oldest grades, I could see in a very visible and beautiful way that there was clear development in the quality and the depth of not just the artistic work, but the academic work that the students were being asked to do. It was a reassurance and a validation for me as a parent to be able to see what students in older classes were doing. And later, when I had visited and had older children in tow, they loved going back and looking at the first grade and saying, I remember when we did this? And they all huddled up with their buddies and took real joy in remembering the journey that they've taken. So I think you could have one event that successfully accomplishes a couple of goals. Anyway, make sure you keep track, though, of prospective family attendance at your outreach events. Again, I might encourage you to permit current families to also attend a walkthrough. If you're doing visits into classrooms, again, they get a rare opportunity to see a classroom in action and to get a sense for what a Waldorf main lesson looks like and what goes on behind the closed doors amid the beautiful lazured walls. But it's really important that we keep track of this information.